Good morning. My name is Amanda Rivera. I'm the hearing examiner presiding over today's case. The date is November 14th, 2024. This is case SEZ 2024-0004. It is a special exception request for property on Topaz, is it Court, I believe? Yes, just next to Plantation Road. Because this is a quasi-judicial hearing, all evidence and testimony must be taken under oath. So if you intend to speak, if you could please raise your hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you will provide is the truth?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. We do not have members of the public here today, so I'll dispense with those instructions, and we can begin when the applicant is ready. Are you familiar with how the process works?
No, not really.
Okay. So typically, in a request like this, the applicant would go first. You just explain what the request is and any information that you have in support of that, any evidence that you would like to put into the record to support what it is you're asking for, and then the staff will do their presentation of their review and recommendation in the case. They are recommending approval, and it seems like a pretty straightforward case from what I've seen in the record. Just so you know, the code requires us to do a site visit, and I did do that already, so I'm familiar with the area that we're talking about. And again, it seems like from what I've gotten the record, a pretty straightforward case, but still whatever testimony and evidence you'd like to put into the record, now is the chance to do that. And if you could please just introduce yourself before you speak, that would be helpful also.
You want to do the presentation?
No.
You want me to do it?
I mean, we're doing that, I would assume?
Yes.
We could do that.
Yeah.
You want me to go up front?
If you could,
Okay.
please, thank you, yes.
My name's Ken Whelan. I'm a representative of Fortified Building Solutions, previously Reeds. Basically, what we are trying to do is add a fabricated metal products onto the property, which is just basically a break. You know, we're looking, once we have the machinery in there, it's going to impact the, you know, Fort Myers as far as we're bringing in more revenue to the city. We're going to bring in more jobs to the city as well, with zero impact to the environment. That's basically what we're trying to do.
If you could just explain again, it's not abundantly clear when I went past. It looks like it's already, is it manufacturing facility or?
So right now it is not a manufacturing, we're just strictly a warehouse with offices. So what we're looking to do is bring in a big piece of machinery, and all it does is we put metal into it and it bends it. And it's for metal roofing, metal buildings, you know, anything to help out, you know, the city and homeowners and things like that.
I would imagine you are busy after Ian with the amount of
Yes,
metal
ma'am.
roofs that we're seeing going up around
Yes,
town.
ma'am. Yeah.
And then, are there any noise impacts that might emanate from that?
It's very quiet machine. It's not like it pounds down at all. It's just strictly you put the metal in there, it bends it, and then we pull it out, and that's it. We already have forklifts in the building right now, so that noise won't be any different.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
There's no impact to traffic either, because it's same amount of vehicles we have now. We're not adding anything like that.
Okay, and I did see you had a waiver from the traffic impact statement, and then there was an equipment location diagram. Is that intended to be the site plan that designates where on the property that piece of machinery will be?
Yes, I do have one more.
It'll be enclosed though, correct, within the building that's there?
Absolutely, yes. Can I bring this
Yes,
up here?
please.
It's a little hard to read, that's why I wear glasses.
Thank you, me too. Thank you so much.
So that's exactly laid out. That's including any type of racking that we have in there. Again, we already have racking in there now. We're just looking to add more storage space, but it's not equipment. It's just strictly storage.
Okay, so there's a yellow designated, a red, and an orange.
So then we were trying to designate the doors that we have as far as to be able to get out in case of emergencies. The yellow is the electrical box. We wanted to show that we're not blocking that in any way. And then, so just two main doors we were concerned with.
And so the equipment, where would where does that match with what I've got for attachment E on my diagram? What I have here just shows, yes, it just shows equipment with a yellow highlight in that
Yes.
northwestern corner.
So that is right here.
Okay, so,
That's the equipment.
oh, so this needs to be oriented in this fashion?
So these are my offices.
Okay,
So the way they did it, yes, they have the offices are here, so it's different.
off of Topaz.
Yeah,
So this is your Topaz
This is-
frontage?
This right here is that
Mhm.
right there.
Okay, thank
Yes,
you.
ma'am.
Let me just make a note so I have that. And I will accept this. This will be applicant exhibit 1. and I'll just label this as a floor plan, for lack of a better terminology.
Yes, ma'am.
We typically attach a site plan, is why I was asking that question, and there wasn't an actual site plan. It's designated as, again, it's called an equipment location diagram, so that's a question I'll have for staff, is if this is being attached to the approval, if that's necessary or not, but I want to be sure
Okay.
that I'm oriented correctly on here.
Yeah, nothing has changed as far as when we submitted the information to this city.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Mhm.
I'm here whenever you're ready to proceed. Do you have the notice of publication by chance? Okay, thank you. So for housekeeping, if you want to go ahead and go up. For housekeeping, yes, I've got this. So I've got the staff report as Staff Exhibit 1, and then Staff Exhibit 2 will be the notice of publication, and Staff Exhibit 3 will be the PowerPoint presentation. Thank you for providing copies of those. I appreciate it.
All right. For the record, Pete Blackwell with Lee County Zoning. Today, we're looking at SEZ 2024-04, the Reeds Metals Special Exception Staff Report. For the overview, the request is for a special exception to allow the use fabricated metal products Group 2 to the IL, or Light Industrial Zoning District. The IL zoning district does allow the use, but requires it to go through this special exception process. The property is currently developed with an existing building. And the applicant, as stated, wants to add their new bending machine, which would be installed entirely within the building. As such, the site design for the property overall is not really impacted. Let's see, the property, as you've seen, is located on Topaz Court at the far end of the Pyramid Industrial Park at the east end down near Plantation, although it's not connected to Plantation. It is surrounded by similar businesses, auto paint, pest control. The county's reuse center is their neighbor on the west, and then the landscaping businesses. As you can see, in a better close-up view. As you can see, they are located in the IL zoning district, and they're in the industrial development future land use category, very compatible with their request. For the review criteria for 34-145 that are required to meet special exception approval, I will go through them as we in turn. For compliance with the LEED plan, they comply with their future land use category. As far as location and timing, there's already industrial there, and it's already industrial park. For utility services, they have sufficient service provided already, and the bending machine will not require any more water or sewage use. For encroachment of inappropriate uses, as stated, they're already in a location designated for their types of work. And they meet all the issues of Goal 7 commercial use in the LEED plan, so no problem with there. For the environmental impact, because of the new use being located completely within the building, environmental staff said that they had no real issues with this issue. If they do anything that requires or impacts the site, they would have to go through a DO. So, compatible with existing planned uses, we've already stated that's good to go. And with the LDC and other county regulations, they are following the proper procedures for the SEZ. The property meets the requirements for dimensions and size in the IL zoning district. And any future variances would, of course, have to follow LDC regulations as well. Compatible with the surrounding neighborhood, we've already covered it. It's surrounded by compatible uses, and it's located in an area designated for industrial type / commercial uses. And based on all of those criteria, staff finds that the proposed use, fabricated metal products Group 2, is an appropriate use to add to this location. And staff therefore recommends approval of the request for the special exception to add the use, fabricated metal products Group 2. And if you have any questions.
The only question I have, what additional development permitting, then would they need after is it just a certificate of use? Is that the only thing they would need if there's no DO?
Well, they'd probably have to go through the permit for the electrical or mechanical. It'd either be an MEC or an ELE permit,
Okay.
depending on if they have sufficient power needs already. If they already have those power needs, I doubt an electrical would be needed.
Just again, getting to the point, there's no conditions, and typically, as you know, there's conditions of approval on these, but it seems like such an isolated amendment to what's already being allowed on the property that wouldn't be warranted, so
Right.
I'll have to add the standard development permit condition. You'll just see that just says that you'll have to comply with county and state permits as they're required, but other than that, there would be no need, it doesn't sound like, to attach the site plan in this case.
Correct. Anywhere in the building that they're located is the same result.
Okay, and we don't want to lock them into anything unnecessarily. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Well, thank you. This is a very straightforward case, which again, I appreciate. We don't get a lot of these. Typically, things are more complicated often than you might expect. So I appreciate you going through this process. Are there any timing concerns that you have in terms of needing this to get issued? Typically, I ask that question because we take the cases in the order that we have them, and I do have other cases in front of it. But if you have need for it to get released sooner than later, I can move that if needed.
We would like to try to proceed in the next 30 days
Okay.
of installation of the equipment.
Okay, I would guess there's a story behind how this all came to be because it is an isolated interior use, so my guess is it's something that you probably came in thinking it was one thing and then were told that you had to go through this process to get.
That's a story for another day.
I assumed. I guessed, and so this seems like it's probably the last domino to fall into place, which was why I was asking the question about development permitting. I certainly don't want to hold you up, so that was my question. So I'll get it released as quickly as I can. It is final with this office. You don't have to go to the Board of County Commissioners on a special exception, so once I release that, you'll receive a copy of it, and hopefully you can proceed with your next steps. But it is a very nice facility, so thank you for that. It seems like you've been operating a very nice operation in a great part of town, so thank you for that, and thank you for coming here today.
Thank you.
Were there any final comments that staff wanted to place?
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
For coming. Stay
Thank you
safe,
very
stay
much.
well.